Thanks a lot, Michael. And yes, it's entrepreneurship. And in studio with me is the founder and managing director for Seven Seas Technologies company. It's a multinational technology company with presence in Kenya, that's where the headquarters are, but also in countries like Ethiopia, Ghana, Nigeria, and Portugal. Well, a Kenyan company with global presence. I think that is a milestone in itself. And well, do welcome with me Mike Macharia, Seven Seas Technology co-founder and managing director. Thank you for joining us on Morning Express. Of course, I would like to take us back to the time that you started Seven Seas. And I've been reading about Seven Seas, I think, for the past 4 years, 5 years actually, to be precise. And they say you started this company at the age of 26. Most entrepreneurs will shy away from starting business at around that age. So just take us back. What was it like starting Seven Seas Technologies?
I think it's what I would say, I'm really an accidental entrepreneur. It was not like I had a plan and the plan to set up a business. It was really accidental. I was in a social gathering and an opportunity arose for me to go to Rwanda to help the national airline to set up their infrastructure, which today is Rwandair, I guess. And naturally, as an entrepreneur, then I thought, I was not sure I was an entrepreneur, but I found myself in Rwanda. I found myself helping this airline automate its systems. Now remember, I did finance as a background, so I had to get people to help me execute the project. And that really is the first business transaction, as you look at, because you're looking at an opportunity and you're looking at a supply chain in terms of how you deliver that gap. That's how our story started. And from there, we grew into Rwanda, into multiple other projects in government, up to the State House. We helped implement for Kagame some of his infrastructure, also Senate. When Rwanda, for instance, was the first country to use laptops in parliament. You're the people who helped them set up that whole infrastructure. But we are young. But I think the youth has a beauty, when I say the business not 26, 25, but youth has a beauty of allowing you to make mistakes, because your safety net is you don't have mortgage, you don't have a family to think about, it's just you. So really, what errors could you make? So I think that has worked, especially for me as an entrepreneur, and also driving the business forward, because youth gives you that capacity to be able to see the future in different kind of lenses, because you have no fear. Right? And I think fear is the first challenge that many entrepreneurs face, and that lack of belief in yourself.
Right. So at that age, and you got an opportunity to travel to Rwanda and set up their ICT infrastructure, and a lot of youths around that age would get so excited and decide, okay, I think it's time for me to spend. I don't have a family to take care of, so they would spend instead of reinvesting. How is it that you managed to keep yourself together at that age?
It's an interesting question, because as a youth, you're a youth, and anyway, you don't have too many mentors around you. I was lucky that I got a mentor at an early age, highly coincidental again. I think I look at entrepreneurship, at least in my life, as moments of fate that have found you somewhere. Is that correct? I met a great entrepreneur who's now passed on, Mr. James Gashui. He was a great entrepreneur, mentor for me, and I met him on a plane, and we became great friends. And later I became a mentor and also invested in my business as a venture capitalist. Again, did I know what a venture capitalist was? No. Did I know how capital structure? I thought it was friends and family. But anyway, he invested and he became a good mentor. But at the same time, I think as you pursue dreams, you start to realize then, as I told you, as an accidental entrepreneur, initially it was, let me build this business, let me make some money, and let me exit and maybe go to America and become an investment banker. That was really maybe would have been Wall Street. Crashing your money in Wall Street, who knows? But nevertheless, I never found myself in Wall Street. I looked around and realized that the opportunities around Africa and around where I was were immense, right? So in Rwanda, as opposed to looking at the genocide and looking at the rundown infrastructure, then Rwanda was not what you see today. Rwanda's really like transformed. We looked at opportunity and we went for it, and then we used that capability to come back to Kenya. And Kenya was also becoming more open to entrepreneurs. Is that correct? So without realizing, you just find yourself with forced responsibility. So you mature faster than you even think about it. Before you realize, you're taking care of 20, 30 employees who look at you as a father and a mother. You can imagine then you're young. So your employees are also young. So the expectation from you is even much higher. So really, you get called into opportunities, and then you take up that opportunity and you deal with it accordingly.
Right, great. And now, when you talk about information, communication, and technology, a lot of things do come to mind. Setting up infrastructure, networking, and all these things that do encompass ICTs. But we have a large number of, I would say, techpreneurs in Kenya today. A lot of them, I would say, below the age of 35. And a lot of them do not really have the mentorship that I would say probably someone like you had around that time. So is it something that is really necessary in Kenya today for the techpreneurs to have people that they're looking up to?
Yes, I think apart from mentorship, there are multiple, and I'll talk about mentorship from that point of view, but there are multiple factors that will enable entrepreneurs in Kenya to make it, especially tech entrepreneurs, right? So it's not, there are many multiple ecosystems that have to come together to support entrepreneurs for us to really become the Silicon Savannah that we are very well known for. And I'll give them in order. Number one is the issue of supporting entrepreneurs, local techpreneurs, in terms of buying local, build Kenya, buy local. Look, many products we buy locally could have been, we buy from international markets, could have been sourced locally. That's an opportunity for an entrepreneur to have made a difference. So in terms of creating policy that allows local products to be consumed locally and also bought locally, especially by government, which is a big buyer of IT products, critical. The second thing we look at is the issue of education and talent. You see, the same entrepreneur will have a big challenge trying to source talent. When we grew up, we were told, please work for the multinational, work for KTN, work for Barclays, work for... But you're never told to work for a startup. I think the moment you say you work for a startup, they think you're crazy. So the challenge is, ultimately, where does the entrepreneur then get a human resource to work for him? So the next thing is trying to figure out how do we create a sustainable talent ecosystem that allows entrepreneurs to get talent to work for them in terms of growing their businesses. The next thing is also how do we look at innovation? You've heard of iHub, NILAB, you've heard of all these innovation hubs. How do we put all that together in terms of as platforms of accelerators that enable entrepreneurs to work? Those days where you need real estate, you need manufacturing ecosystem, those are gone. I think what you need today is working spaces and ecosystems where you can work together to create a product, right? Then you also think about research. We're not doing enough research. Some of our great national projects, it eventually will build out great products. Some of the brightest entrepreneurs in the world came about as a result of a national interest or product, a national problem we were trying to solve, that an entrepreneur solved, that then exploit that product across the global markets. And then also the issue of capital. The issue of capital is a big issue in terms of capital. Look, but for whatever reason, we are not really exploring the growth enterprise market, which is a small side of the stock market. It's a great opportunity to raise cheaper capital. We still want to invest in real estate, land and buildings. I'm sure if I told you to invest in my business many years ago, you'd have told me, you're crazy. But again, many people invested. So all those things come together. Now, the challenge is an entrepreneur, a mentor, where would you get a mentor that understands all that? I think you have different mentors in different people, in different aspects. But I think what can we do as an ecosystem? One of the things that I'm very happy that His Excellency the President approved is set up of a company called Enterprise Kenya. Enterprise Kenya is a co-partnership between the government and private sector that will bring all these components within one umbrella. So as an entrepreneur, when you feel lost, you can go to that organization. Number one, they can help you open new markets. They could help you source capital. They could even give you startup capital because a billion shilling was committed to help those startups. It could help you find out the right person to talk to in government, so you don't have to keep on wondering who to talk to. So that, I think, will be a critical tipping point of techpreneurs in this country.
Right. And you did mention an important issue of capital. A lot of techpreneurs in Kenya today face that challenge as well. Some of them want to expand their businesses, and they also face the challenge of acceptance. I've spoken to a number of software developers, for instance, who have said that they have the products, but when they go to, say, a certain client A, the client tells them, you know, we're not really interested in technology because we don't think that our company would like to invest in technology. We think that use of flyers and things like that are a better option for us when it comes to marketing. We do not need ICTs in that sense. And so, you know, there's a lot of challenges that these techpreneurs are facing. But from your point of view, how exactly do they handle, you know, these situations?
I think it's a two-pronged approach, because one, there's need to change mindset. You see, entrepreneurship, I think the first thing to be realized as a country is that there is need for collective prosperity, meaning that in many societies, the SMEs, the entrepreneurs are the ones who have been the bedrock of those societies. Take America, take anywhere. That's why I believe why Obama is coming here to support Global Entrepreneurship Summit, because it's entrepreneurs who shape those markets. So the first thing is supporting local entrepreneurs is critical. Anybody, any wise person knows that. The next thing is also the entrepreneurs themselves also need to put themselves in a position where they produce products or meet an unmet need. You know, sometimes you want to build this, and excuse my French, sexy product, but to you it's sexy, but to the customer, it's what are you talking about? I don't need this product. So the challenge you have is, are you building products for you, for your ego? Are you building products that customers care about? And that's it important, because I think when you build products that customers care about, you will get a customer. But if you build products because you want to tell your friends you have a company, it doesn't make sense, really. So I think it's a combined approach where we are saying, look, help build products that customers want and need, and try and meet an unsolved problem. Okay, innovate that way. Number two, also I think we also need to find ways to support entrepreneurs. So I think it's a sort of a push and pull, where collectively we are seeing success across the society as opposed to individual success. Or from a point where you say, as a company, I've saved enough money. I've saved by buying from India, for instance. I should have bought that directly from a Kenyan company, right? So we need to see our society again collectively.
But where are the gaps in the ICT industry today in Kenya? Because, okay, let me put it this way. What would you be interested in investing in that the young people are developing today?
I think if you ask me, the national imperative areas that Kenya has in terms of building capability and becoming a global leader or an African leader of innovation is in areas of education. Look, our education systems require a little bit of innovation and rejigging. And I think technology can play a fundamental leapfrogging aspect of that. Yesterday I saw that the laptop project has been reinitiated. That's a major opportunity for any entrepreneur, not just applying infrastructure, but being able to build capability or technology or content. I don't know, I'm not sure if you have any kids, right? My young one constantly goes to YouTube and gets this content. Our content is so international, right? And I'm thinking to myself, where has anybody not built local content? Local content that your young one can go around in the morning and constantly on YouTube, they're always looking at foreign content. And that content has got something like 20 or 50 million hits. Because every other child somewhere in the world goes to look at that content. To me, I'm thinking, is another opportunity to put the elephant, our lifestyles, Africa lifestyles. That's an opportunity. So I think education is an area that will become a big leaping frog and will build the next billionaires. The next area is health. I think health in Africa, again, traditionally how you deliver health globally has changed, right? And how you deliver health in America is not the way you can deliver health in Kenya. So you need to find entrepreneurs who will create the next products, mediation products in health. I know a company that, for instance, helps women when they're in their maternal days in terms of it's called Total Health. And they're doing a great job. Today they've got X amount of subscribers, and today they're dealing with African challenges of women who are pregnant and trying to keep abreast of those kind of in terms of postnatal care and prenatal care. You look at the area of social services. I think the way we deliver services at a social level in Africa will change. Look, M-Pesa, really, if you look at M-Pesa, it's a social product where it came and solved a social problem. It transformed money at a very, very micro level. So I think there's going to be big opportunities. We recently launched a platform with Safaricom called Zaba in Machakos, which we're going to take across the country. And what are we trying to do? We are trying to link blue-collar workers to opportunities. Why? Because that's a major opportunity from a social point of view. That platform, maybe you'll have 6-7 million people in some time, but think about the opportunities in that area. Next, in the area of transport and agriculture, those are areas that I think today, if you're an entrepreneur in Africa, you build around those ecosystems, you will be successful. And those products are products you can test in Kenya, and then you can replicate across Africa. Because I think Kenya has a great opportunity to be the home of Africa innovation.
Right, and just like you mentioned, it has the capability and the potential to be the home of technology in this case, and Kenya is playing that role, I should say. But when it comes to the best practices, what would you recommend, especially for the ICT industry, knowing that you run one of the most successful ICT companies, not just in Kenya, but across the region? What would you say are the best practices?
I think it's a combination of many things. First, it's nurturing an ecosystem. I think what happens is we try and go for it alone, constantly. You start a company, you start as a lone entrepreneur. When you could have probably started 2, 3 of you, and then shared the load. So the first thing is looking at going for the journey, not individually, but taking other people alongside with you. The next thing we also need to look at in terms of practice is the way we look at acquisition of capital. I think today capital is available even in the small gems market. It's how do we access capital? Those are areas we need to. The area of standards. As we move into you start building products, you don't build products that you Kenyanize. You need to build products with a global outlook. So even products that you think will work in Kenya have to work at a global level. So some of that is best practice in terms of standards. And then, okay, human resource, creating sustainable human resource ecosystems. Okay, today I'm very excited about the one of the initiatives that the government has done, Matiang'i and his team, and this is the Presidential Skill Development Program. And that, if that can be extended across a bigger ecosystem, we can then have a lot of companies taking on interns. Those interns are then going to eventually, not all of them are going to work for Barclays or GE. Some of them eventually are going to drop off and work for companies, much smaller companies, because you'd rather say, you'd rather want an intern who has interned for Barclays, for instance, because they've probably done some work of finance, as opposed to an intern who you as a startup or an entrepreneur has to go out there, train them for that small gap. So you'd rather say, let me get interns who already have gone through the cookie cutter. And I think those are some of the best practices we need to start doing at a country level. But within organization, the issue of corporate governance are critical within your organization to try and get the right investors. The issue of delivering on your promise as an organization is critical, because ultimately the only thing you have is brand. You deliver a product, you say you're going to deliver something, you need to deliver that, because it's a market it's a big referenceable market. So I think collectively as a country, if all of us said building better products, we build more skill, we will see ourselves becoming more Kenyan exporters of services and of capability, I guess.
Right. Let's talk about 7 Cs for a while, and I know this is something that you didn't want to talk about, but I'm sure I can't run away from this one. That is regard to the IPO. You postponed it to 2017, and you said that until a lot of your revenue, or at least 50% of your revenue, is gotten from outside of Kenya, that's when you think that would be the right time for you to, go forward and make the initial public offer. Tell us more about that. How much? I know that 80% of your revenues right now are coming in from Kenya, but tell us about the expansion plans that you have.
We made strategic decisions. Number one, we had to build a business. When you said a company, initially, we were more product-oriented, or product where we take global products and bring them to the marketplace and then implement them in the marketplace. Now, that has its own challenges, because what happens, the same multinationals come into your market and go directly for your customers. So initially, it's difficult for them to get into the market. Eventually, they come directly to the customer. And some of the large customers, the banks, the multinationals, the telco companies, eventually also want to work directly with the multinationals. Let's say you get a company that has come from the Silicon Valley, they want to work directly. So your value proposition in the middle is highly challenged. So initially it works. Initially, then you start questioning, is this going to work? Because what happened? You have decline of margins, you have decline of the kind of customers you have on board. So we had to, the last 3 years, 4 years of our business, we had to totally rethink our business model. And our business model was, we need to be able to solve large large problems that have a political impact, that also have a social impact, and also have a human impact. And we build our business around what we call the bottom of the pyramid. We said, we're going to try, most of our business lines are going to be focused on touching the bottom of the pyramid. the people who require support services. And one of the projects we did, which is interesting, that we were one of the thinkers and initial planners of it, was, for instance, the projects you see like the Huduma centers, right? It's a project we talked about 4 years ago. And luckily, when the CS Waiguru came on board, she embraced it, and she's now it has become a national project,
right.
Which it has also built up many other entrepreneurs as a result. Is that correct? Think about it. But today we are in health. We are trying to do work in health. We are in health with General Electric. We are doing a massive project, upgrading infrastructure. Recently, we tested, and now we are implementing teleradiology, meaning one radiologist in Kakamega could talk to one in Machakos, such that if you don't have skill at a hospital, one could cross-reference and get support. That requires a lot of technology. So it's almost where health meets IT. It's a whole transformation. So we're changing lives at a health level. We'll then launch this project on social services with Safaricom in terms of looking at the whole labor market, rethinking the labor market, and thinking, is there opportunity for somebody who is a blue-collar worker to create value? Maybe everybody is trying to look for white-collar workers. Why can't we really look at the whole blue-collar worker thing? So our business has totally evolved into transformational business as opposed to product-oriented business. Now, I think when I go to the market tomorrow in a stock initial public offering, or when we look at to exit, we're not going to be selling technology. We'll be selling transforming lives and changing communities, because that's what we do. So when you open our prospectus, it's not going to be about the biggest software solution that we sold. It will be the lives we impacted, and we can measure, we can count, and we can also say that socially this was the impact that we had in the society.
Right. Interesting. So as we wind up now, I would like to ask you to at least encourage people out there. There are a lot of people who are still technology hesitant, but yet, technology is something that is never going to go back. It's going to come and it's going to keep going forward. So at some point, I guess we're not going to run away from technology. So there's the camera over there. You can speak to a lot of Kenyans right now who are interested in technology, and those of them who are yet to get the interest.
I think my closing statement to any entrepreneur out there: it's a great time to be in Africa. Today, if you're 24 years, 25 years, you're just, I would say, at that tipping point. Africa provides you today opportunity that is galore. You're able to look at capital in a different way. Today, look at government has got all these initiatives for the youth. Okay, you have the internet. Okay, and you have knowledge that we never had 20, 15 years ago when we started. So what is stopping you today is your mindset. I think what is killing many entrepreneurs is their mindset. The mindset to be accepted. You don't have to be accepted. You have to be bold, and out of the boldness is why people will respect you. You're bold, you break boundaries, and that is what Africa is waiting for you. And today, Africa it's a flat world. From Africa, you can end up in Europe, you can end up in Asia, but it's up to you to be able to be bold enough and transform, and also see ways in which you can impact the society as you definitely look for that money. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We do appreciate the time taken to come and speak to us about ICTs and also entrepreneurship. And Kenya, like he mentioned, is the Silicon Valley of Africa. So we need to take this forward and at least ensure that we can create wealth through innovation and ICTs as well as entrepreneurship. Well, Business Chat comes to an end right now, but in the next hour, we're going to be having, we're already in the next hour, right? Okay, Joshua Oigara, the KCB CEO, is going to be on Person of Interest. So you want to join in that conversation with Sophia Wanuna? Don't go away.